Today, let's get ready to start a reliable taxi service for which we will be reasonably compensated. This is ChillPoint.
What are we calling this taxi service, Paul?
Fine taxis.
Fine taxis. Can we put in quotes where we get
Fair
reasonably
tax.
compensated?
Yeah. We are reasonably compensated according to a pre-negotiated industry standard compensation system.
I know so little about how taxis work that I can't tell if there is an industry standard. So,
I mean,
sure.
there was at one point, and then Uber and
Well,
stuff
yeah,
came
then they
in.
reinvented
fudged
cars
everything.
and
Yeah.
carpooling and taxis, and they tried to with buses again. I'm glad they didn't really reinvent buses properly. Really should just fix the buses we have.
Anyway, hey everybody, welcome to ChillPoint show where we talk about the week's video game news as well as the episode of Checkpoint. that
Oh,
went
was
up
there an
this
episode of
week.
Checkpoint this week?
Because there is one this week.
Oh my goodness!
Been a couple
The
weeks
elusive
off.
Checkpoint is back.
Couple weeks off first because everybody was gone, and then people were back but were sick. But it's back. So so yeah, Graham and Kathleen. And actually, I wanted to point out that, well, I guess we'll get to it when we do it, but see if you can guess which one of the stories this week was written by Cameron.
Ooh, guessing game. I'm trying to remember what the stories were. I write down in the description kind of what got covered, and then I'm like, wait, how did what happened? What happened in the episode? Because there's so many words to add for like video tagging purposes and
Julia Mon is indeed correct.
ooh,
The very first guess. So let's get into the.
I think we need to discuss whether or not people are accessing the internal moon base structure with guesses that good, or if they just know maybe Cameron too well. And don't get me wrong, there is a secret tunnel system that if you really wanted to, you could find all the live cameras around the office. We just don't tell people about it.
I would say that he probably has a distinctive writing style. Anyway, let's talk about first episode, which was first story, which was about the fried chicken gun.
Yes.
In
the part of the show I was concerned that would take the episode down.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Call of Duty for not
Pulling down our video.
demonetizing us for
blogging the video.
for putting up the trailer, I guess.
Yet. Sometimes stuff comes in like literally 6 years later.
But yeah, this appears to be a real thing that they and also it's not only is it a real thing, but it's like not even like a cross promotion with KFC or something, or like McDonald's chicken nuggets, or like it seems like a real wasted opportunity.
Does everything have to be a cross promotion though? Can't something just be kind of weird and disgusting on its own?
I mean, yeah, it can. But considering, if you're going to do something weird like that, and it could so easily be a cross promotion, just get that extra payola in there.
Are you saying that maybe they need to double down?
Possibly. They need to get that famous bowl full of money.
I need to remember that this thing exists so I can complain about it on regular crispy day, since they went with an extra crispy gun.
It's true. So yeah, to be clear, this is in Call of Duty, not in Fortnite. And yeah,
I mean, Graham set that up to make people think it was Fortnite.
Yeah.
with that first line. I mean, technically, his line is something about, before we get into Fortnite, let me show you this ad. But he says the word Fortnite, which is,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, even if he hadn't, the video does feel very Fortnite-y.
It's true.
So, but he does set you up for that. That's not necessarily your entire fault for thinking.
Damn
things.
him and his writing.
How dare the people
But-
who write the show be good at the writing of the show?
It does appear to be like you shoot them with the gun and then they turn into like a statue and then the statue explodes into chicken nuggets. Like they turn into like a deep fried statue of themselves.
So they're getting deep fried from the inside out.
Maybe.
It's kind of hard to say. It's like a very scary skin affliction.
Yeah. It's got some serious body horror
and
aspects.
then
to it.
they explode.
Can somebody else eat the chicken nuggets?
I haven't seen Ben
Possibly
today.
to regain health.
Oh, like in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's more disturbing. I feel like that's more disturbing than, I feel like games like this are just going to make me go full vegetarian one day.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I saw a couple people in the comments excited to see Ratchet and Clank getting shouted at because Ratchet and Clank has a gun that turns people into chickens. Chickens, like full chickens that just like wander around.
Yeah, they're still alive, and they seem, I don't know, life seems better as a chicken sometimes.
Yeah, than being like a goon for some evil guy.
Because most of the time I associate chickens in video games with Zelda. So you become the most powerful being if you're a chicken or a cuckoo.
Yeah.
No one can hurt you. And you have so many friends you can call on.
Anyway. And then also, actually in Fortnite, potentially Cybertruck, which, I'll be honest, kind of fits. Like, I feel like a Cybertruck would not be that, not be that out of character for Fortnite.
It gets made fun of a lot for looking like its graphics set doesn't match ours. So,
I mean, yeah, it's a low poly model. Like, it wouldn't be very hard to put into the game.
Yeah, it probably belongs there. I like the idea that maybe there's something wrong with it. Like, I liked all of Graham's examples of like all the things that it could do like it does in the real world. But I prefer like since it's the idea of it being digital, I would like it to have digital problems. It just kind of fades out of existence sometimes. Or doors disappear.
Or just
Maybe it becomes kind of wireframed.
right, or just becomes like glitched and like just like slides sideways.
Yeah, it can't drive properly. You can find the sub-ocean 10 times easier in a Cybertruck. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, proper digital problems.
And then also, there's a new NASCAR track. Wait, there's a new track in the
It's like what do they
racing
call it?
mode.
It's like it's not Rocket League, but it's basically Rocket League, Rocket Racing.
It's more. I mean, it's not. It is actual racing. It's
Yeah,
not,
but
it's
didn't
not
didn't they buy the Rocket League team?
Yeah, I believe it's being made by the Rocket League team.
Yeah, so it's essentially just Rocket League without the league.
And racing.
Racing, yeah,
So
it's a normal thing.
So rocket racing.
With NASCAR.
And so yeah, they made they're making it a NASCAR
toy version looking of NASCAR.
which, gotta say, designing a NASCAR course, like the whole point is that it's just an oval, right? Isn't that the whole thing with
racing
NASCAR?
courses aren't just necessarily ovals. It's like a very standard racing track.
But-
Many of them have curves.
But isn't
and other
NASCAR
things.
like actually just an oval? Like that's the whole point.
Well, I'm not a NASCAR fan. I knew a NASCAR fan growing up, but I ignored everything they said. So I really have no useful information.
So yeah, I'm saying that like not a ton of design effort necessarily needs to go into that. But maybe, I guess they put in like the cars and stuff too.
Yeah, I assume if you're going to add a NASCAR track, you have to also add the cars. Maybe
So it's not, so
maybe some sort of pit thing. I'm assuming NASCAR does pit crews. It's just an oval, yes, but they have to go around that track more than once.
oh yeah, they have to go around like 100 times.
That just sounds boring.
It does to me too.
Sounds like a really weird way to count to 100.
But it's a very popular sport.
Yes. I mean, it has to be. They make money off of it. I don't understand your sport. Please don't explain it to me in the ChillPoint comments. I don't care, and I will not read them.
But anyway, I do like that, NASCAR has always been about pushing boundaries and connecting with fans in exciting ways. And Fortnite provides the perfect platform to engage a global audience, blending the intensity of NASCAR racing with the immersive world of Fortnite, which is like, I would think that actually being on a NASCAR, like in the audience, would be more immersive than just like playing it in Fortnite.
I have to ask, how do you push boundaries when your track is just an oval? And technically you don't want to ever go out of bounds.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of innovation going on within the oval. Or
yeah, I don't think you're allowed to go in the center either. I think you have to stay within the lines. It's like really intense coloring books.
There's some pretty intense coloring books. I mean, most racing does. I mean, even if it's not an oval, most racing wants you to stay inside the lines of the track.
Are you sure?
I mean,
how much racing do you watch, Paul?
Not a ton.
Okay.
But I get why do you have a track if you're not supposed to be driving within the track?
Yeah, I guess it is a sport. Sports are kind of weirdly sticklers for following rules, aren't they? Weirdos.
Anyway, so and yeah, I mean, considering it's being made by Rocket, like it's Rocket Racing, the idea, like I don't know if the actual Rocket Racing game, a mode has like cars with weapons that you can fire at each other. I mean, if it doesn't, it should. And if it does, then there should be a fried chicken gun. So you can fried chicken your opponent's
I feel like
entire
it's easier to fry chicken a car because there's already oil in there. Like, it's already doing half the work for you. But at that point, I want the car to explode and like you to see the person pop out with a parachute or something,
or just
so that I can understand that they're not the ones turning into fried chicken.
Or it like explodes and then the person, there's just like the guy holding a steering wheel on like the chair, just like skidding to a halt in the middle of the road.
Yeah. That I want that.
Looking kind of surprised.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna play this, so I need something more interesting to happen when I don't watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Elden Ring.
You have to imagine blowing up cars would be a foul. Well, I mean,
depends on the game.
I don't think NASCAR has fouls. Do they? Do they have? Can you knock a player out and get ball 4?
I would assume that you can't get in trouble and that by like hitting another car and knocking that would be like a disqualification.
But would it?
Yeah.
But
also, turning them into a chicken would definitely be a foul.
Well, you said the cars should have guns and they should definitely be able to shoot each other.
Okay, are we talking about the Fortnite NASCAR mode? Or are we talking about the actual game, the actual sport of NASCAR racing in the real world?
Both.
Because
whichever one makes this conversation make more sense.
One of those I think should have guns that turn people into fried chicken, and one I think probably shouldn't.
It's really weird that you want it to be the real life one.
Anyway,
I'm sorry, where were we going?
Elden Ring,
Oh,
another
yes.
game that should have a gun that turns people. You know,
Does Elden Ring have guns? I know they've got like
I don't think they.
whips, and I know based on watching Adam's clips, they've got a horn.
Wait, do you like blow?
Yeah. He was running at people and blowing a horn, and I
He was
assumed
tooting-
that it was doing
He
damage,
was
but I couldn't
tooting them
tell.
to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's maybe some sort of bow and arrow thing, but is there a thing we would actually classify as a gun?
Like a
Not necessarily a chicken making gun,
like a flintlock
but just
gun
like
or
a
something.
gun. Like even a flintlock, or you know what, a bubble gun. I will
horn.
allow a bubble gun.
There's a cannon.
Okay, that's gun like.
Anyway, so yeah, there's just a couple of little roundup things for Shadow of the Erd Tree. Let Me Solo Her is back, as in Let Me Solo Him, because the final guy from Shadow of the Erd Tree is apparently real tough. He's a big toughie.
It's a whole kind of theme throughout this DLC, is what I understand, and the game itself.
Well, yeah, in the game itself. Although I think there's an aspect where, Graham was talking about that that they set up the DLC so that there's a level of challenge, sort of regardless of what you're at in the real game.
My
or in the
understanding
original game.
is that 'cause this is based off of what other people have said, is that in that area there are specific items, dragon tears or whatever, but like specific items you get that let you level up stuff. And I think if you leave that area, then you go back to normal, like what you were for the main game. The DLC is very specific.
There's DLC specific leveling.
It's in its own thing. There's specific items and things that you can find that help you level. And there's like in the after show, Graham had mentioned this idea of like they had adjusted stuff. So it's like you find some of those items a little earlier so that you have a bit of a easier time starting, and then it levels in a more linear fashion.
Right.
But from what I understand, you have to like really kind of look around the game quite a bit, because if you want to be able to level, you have to find stuff to do that with.
I can imagine that there might be like a little bit of like, if you are an Elden Ring, if you're a long time player and you leveled your guy up to whatever, and you're kicking everybody's butt.
Yeah, you're gonna go in there and they're still gonna kick your butt,
and you're gonna be like, "Whoa, what the hell happened?"
Yeah,
which is it's kind of a cool thing.
It's the only Souls-like game I've played is Another Crab's Treasure, but that's my understanding is how these games are supposed to go. Mm-hmm. You're never really supposed to be necessarily at a point where you can just slice through everything like butter.
Yeah.
Unless you've, kind of really experienced a lot of stuff and you maybe have a bunch of stuff down. I guess Hollow Knight is technically a Souls-like. I like to call it a bug-like. But that's me.
But
Bug Souls.
But there isn't a thing that it's like. Like there isn't Souls-like is like it's like Dark Souls. Bug-like, it's like bug?
It's like bugs. It's like there's a bunch of bugs in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Doesn't really give an insight into the gameplay.
A bunch of the bugs technically don't have souls. They're soulless.
Oh, sucks for them.
Yeah. A bunch of them are definitely maidenless. Except for Zout. He has a maiden. She's really into fan fiction. She has some strange dreams. You all know what I mean.
And the other Shadow of the Erd Tree So it was the a guy. Speaking of using a horn, a guy beat the game duding with a electric saxophone.
Oh, right.
Which is super cool. Like the electric. So he has this like electric saxophone that is then mapped to the controller things, and so he's got like a on-screen controller, so you can see like what buttons he's pushing.
That's like the fun part I like about watching people who play games on PC is the weird control schemes they decide to get into.
I was a little disappointed that like the music that he was actually playing while doing the thing was not very interesting. It was mostly just like like he's just doing the same thing over and over again. I was hoping it was going to be like a little more melodic.
It's a lot of video games, Paul. You end up doing the same thing over and over again.
I know.
While it would have been really cool if he had written some sort of song that really kicked the butt of whatever he's fighting, I feel like that is harder.
Oh man, now I'm thinking about...
Because now there's like RNG involved in like, is the boss doing the thing at the right time? Are you...
Well, I was just thinking like, you know games like, like some of the Mario games and things that are basically like deterministic, like, you can just map out what the button presses are in order to finish the level.
Yeah.
Because the guys always appear at the same spot and everything. It would be awesome to like take that and actually like figure out what all the button presses need to be, and then turn that into a song, so that like you literally are playing the song that takes Mario through the level.
Yeah, I mean that really does sound just like a step above the some of the auto-scrolling music levels that people were making in Mario Maker.
Yeah. Except it would be
you have to do it. Yeah. And if you do it properly, you get to win.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a great way to actually get somebody to practice music.
Yeah. I guess that is basically like Guitar Hero or something, but just with a little Mario guy moving. Anyway.
Yeah, except we want it to sound good more than anything else.
Yeah.
That, it's like Guitar Hero, but we want you to play Mario with your Guitar Hero controller and make it sound good.
Right.
Like we're going for like an extra step here.
Yeah, that would be the trick. Yeah, considering how people have beaten Mario all up and down every possible different way, I feel like that's a challenge that somebody could do.
It's a crowded genre for speedrunning.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people like to speedrun things like Cooking Mama or other games that no one's heard of.
There's an additional Erdtree story that didn't make it into here, sort of related. It's not exactly about Shadow of the Erdtree, but it is. It does sort of come up in talking about it, and I thought it was kind of interesting because it's talking. It was a recent a journalist was talking about doing a sort of a live stream, and one of the things she was talking about, this is Alana Pierce, talking about accessibility in games and stuff. And she was mentioning one of the things with like Elden Ring, you can't pause.
Yes.
Unless there's like, you have to go through I think it's like if you like go into the menu and then go into help and go into some there's like some way to make it stop. There's a way to do it,
but you have to like go very far in or something.
Anyway, but one of the one thing she talked about that got a lot of pushback was she was talking about how different the different accessibility issues that people can have.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, you might be, you might not have, be able to use a controller, might not have, might have colorblind or different things, or you might have children. And which is what can be called what is sometimes called a situational disability. And a lot of people push back on that, being like, how dare you say having children is a disability?
The thing I read said that it was like an example of how this is like having a disability, not that it was outright calling it a disability. Like, I haven't watched the actual thing.
It's the term, so it's using disability in the sense of something that has to be sort of taken into account, and compensated for. And like one of the other and people have linked to Microsoft actually had an internal document, or I guess external now because people have seen it, but document about accessibility developing, and this idea of situational disability is something that they were talking about. So one of the things they're having to take care of a child, something like driving, or listening to, or there's like loud music in the area you're in, or there's all sorts of things. They aren't disabilities in the sense of a person with a disability that is part of the,
they can't walk for the rest of their lives, that kind of thing.
But it is a disability in the sense that it's something that that can be useful to be taken into account. And it's an interesting. I think it's an important thing to talk about, and I guess the particular terminology, people got really offended, but like at least at the moment that is the terminology that is actually used.
That's my understanding. That's what people were getting mad about, and not like the actual core discussion of a pause menu is still good.
There's a certain amount of like, if you don't want to, if you're
good,
if
right?
you,
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. It's the internet. So there's
a certain amount of like, well, I just take care of my kids and don't play video games when they're around.
Or you chose to be a mom, so don't do whatever. And it's like, okay, sure. There are other things that happen that you don't choose.
Right.
You get older, for one.
And I mean, your
parents get older.
I've talked about this. I think we might have been talking about this last week, but or really recently. But I saw a great video by the guys, one of the designers, the OXO Good Grips. The guys who make like potato peelers.
Yeah. We talked about that last week, I think.
Yeah, I think it was last week. But they had the thing where they designed really thick handles because they're better for people who have arthritis. Mm-hmm. And it turns out everybody likes them better.
Yeah.
And it's like, having a pause thing would be very helpful for somebody who has to take care of a child.
This is true of a lot of things that get implemented for, say, one reason, but then it ends up being really good for another reason. The curbs on sidewalks that go down, right? Very useful for a person in a motorized chair, or even maybe a person who has crutches or whatever, because lifting up higher is harder. Also really great for people who have to deliver things.
Or just not tripping over.
Or you have a shopping cart that you're definitely taking from the store, because we should all be able to take a shopping cart from the store. Or
just like not tripping over the curb as you go up.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like,
also, I think stairs are bunk. We should have slopes on everything.
All right.
Yeah.
But like slopes that are as steep as the stairs?
No. I don't want to live in Seattle.
So
Seattle, you had a problem with your hills.
Has a lot of longer pieces of. You need a lot more space is the problem for the ramps.
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
All right.
Have you seen how much space stairs take up sometimes?
I guess. Anyway.
Also, we should have slides on everything.
Fun slides.
Fun slides.
Around. Yeah.
With like crash pads at the bottom. We're gonna need those.
Uh,
But yeah,
but yeah, so if you a pause function in a game is super great if you've got a kid that you suddenly have to do something with, but it's also great if you just want to go to the bathroom or answer the door or sneeze.
You sneeze. Have you ever been playing a video game where you're like in the middle of something really intense and you sneeze and then everything's effed up?
So anyway, I wanted to highlight this because I thought it was an interesting this idea of situational disability. There's a concept in in driving. When people are like in terms of driving safety, there's a concept called situational blindness, which is a real thing, and that's part of the reason why they've stopped. They want people to not talk on the phone, not talk on their cell phones when they drive. Mm-hmm. And people are like, "What the? It doesn't matter. Like, I can talk to somebody in the car. I should be able to talk to somebody on the phone." And there's a really interesting aspect where, like, when you're talking to somebody on the phone, you are sort of imagining them in another location.
Right, so you're using up brain space.
And so you're not actually focusing as much in the location you are. And it's a real thing. Like they've done tests this like situation that like you can be physically, your eyeballs are physically receiving the light from in front of you. And you're seeing the thing, but your brain is not registering it in the same way. And you can, cause accidents and things.
Yeah, I mean, it's focus is an interesting idea too, because there's the if we take it out of the context of driving and say something like studying, some people work really well focusing on one topic and nothing else. Sometimes people have I know people who, if they're reading, they literally can't hear anything around them. It's just like that is their entire world right there. Whereas other people can't seem to focus if there's not like some noise happening or something else going on.
Yeah, I know. Lots of people listen to music while they study or whatever. Whereas like, I can't listen to music while I do work.
I used to try to listen to podcasts while I would do my sewing homework at school. And then I found that if I did that, because stuff I was learning was new, I actually wasn't paying attention to anything that was being said on the podcast. Like I just started blocking stuff out, because otherwise I would just listen to the podcast and then stop doing stuff.
Or if it's like the podcast is like, one of those true crime podcasts, you start like you start sewing really aggressively.
Well, so there's this thing when you like, if you knit or you crochet, you are kind of you create your own tension with your hands. And so there is kind of a thing where if
you have to be careful about what you're listening.
If you're like angry and you're knitting versus when you're relaxed and you're knitting, your tension will actually be very different.
Don't knit angry, is that?
Or knit only angry.
So like if somebody has like a big, like a quilt or something, could you like look at that and like evaluate their mental state at various times?
I think I'd have to see many pieces of their work in order to do that, but potentially. And you probably tell that something was a little off.
That's amazing. I like that. All right, let's move on to...
Just knit while angry. It's, pretty easy to do right now.
Yeah.
There's so much to be angry about. So we did Elden Ring.
Let's get on to Sega wants to make more Crazy Taxi.
Yeah. They brought that up at the Game Awards, I think. I think it was one of the things that Sega listed off really quickly, that they were like, we're doing like these things. And then they ran away. Like.
So 2002 was Crazy Taxi 3. So 22 years ago.
Yep.
It was Crazy Taxi 3.
So that was the last Crazy Taxi?
That was the last non-mobile one. There have been there were like a couple of mobile ones that didn't go very far, and they're they're defunct now.
And arcades don't exist anymore.
I always remember Crazy Taxi is one of those games that like showed up on every console. It was on like, I think it started on like Dreamcast, but then it was on like it seemed like it was available on like PlayStation and whatever Xbox and all the different all the consoles.
It's really funny to be like, so it showed up on every console, Dreamcast, and like.
I mean, it started on Dreamcast, but yeah, it didn't stay there.
It just sounds like a funny way to start listing.
I
only expect Ian to ever start with Dreamcast.
Yeah. Arcade, Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, Windows, PS3, 360, iOS, Android, portable. Yeah, it was just everywhere.
Game Boy Advance. Oh, that must have been fun. So the whole point of Crazy Taxi is just to run people over, right?
No, you're supposed to pick people up.
Oh.
And then take them.
Well, yeah, I guess you're a taxi.
Yeah.
They don't want to update it. They don't want to try calling it like Crazy Uber. No way. I guess they can't. That's a branding thing, isn't it?
It's so as I was thinking about this, I don't know. For one thing, I started thinking about like the idea of like a Crazy Taxi, like MMO, like a massive, like the idea because like normally Crazy Taxi, the idea it's sort of like one of these relay things, right? Where there's like a person who's like, you need to pick me up, and you have like 5 seconds to go, or a certain amount of time to go pick the guy up, and he gets more and more angry. And so you go pick him up, and then you've got, a certain amount of time to get him to where he's going to go, and his fare like goes down.
If it's an MMO, do I crash into the other taxi to try to snake their fare?
Yeah. I love the idea that it's just like this entire city is just filled with, taxis that are completely bonkers.
City is nothing but taxis.
No, the city, maybe there's regular cars, but there's just like all these taxis that are driving completely against every rule. And like I'm just imagining that like in the real world, like imagine you've got your like Uber or whatever with the little web you got your like your phone app, and you're like, I wish to get picked up, boop, and you just like hear in the distance like somebody doing a full U-turn, and then just like 10 cars are just like going at full speed to your location, smashing into other things, trying to get to you first.
I'm not sure there should be other cars on the road. If everybody has their own taxi, I think at that point I feel like your work vehicle is your personal vehicle, and the world is just made of taxis.
I think it's like one of those. Maybe it's like there's taxis, or there's people who drive taxis, and like passengers.
Yeah. So can I play a passenger?
I
mean, I don't know that I want to. I think it might be maybe safer to play the taxi. I
mean, okay.
But everyone's really into these asymmetrical games, right?
For like a pitch, right?
Yeah.
Like asymmetrical multiplayer, but it's not like team-based.
No.
You can either be a taxi or you can be a passenger.
Yeah.
And so the taxi's job is to pick up people and take them where they're going as quickly as possible, and you make money for fares. The people have like a sort of like a scavenger hunt or like a path that they have to go, and so they have to like call and decide which taxis to get into.
Yeah.
And then the taxis like try to encourage them to get into their taxi, and they're like, I can drive really fast, I can do it. Like that could be kind of cool.
So my ultimate goal for this game that we definitely own, just the two of us now, is that this takes off, does really well, and then we get to enter a taxi and a passenger into Dead by Daylight, where the taxi is the murderer and the passenger is the escapee.
I like that. That's the end goal.
Yeah, that's the end goal.
You want to make the game so that they'll go into Dead by Daylight.
Yes, I do.
I love it.
You have to have goals in life.
Yeah. Anyway, Crazy Taxi MMO. I don't know. It could be fun.
We'll find out.
I guess.
Well, because everybody under the sun plays a new MMO when the new MMOs come out, right?
Yeah.
Except for me and probably you, but everybody else, we'll find out.
Uh,
There's some sort of simulation.
yeah, there's an update on, or there's a new DLC for Sims called Love Struck, which adds a whole bunch of extra loving options for Sims, including all sorts of different, some new like jobs and new different things they can do. You can be like a matchmaker.
Ooh.
But then they also have added, so
You didn't really look at all the things that
as
they
is
had
usually
added.
as is usually the case with Sims updates, there's the DLC, and then with the DLC, there's a free update to the actual game.
Right, so it can plug into the DLC and stuff, right?
So the free update to the game is adding the what's it called? The romantic boundaries system, which allows you to customize your Sims experience with boundaries and jealousy. So you can define how your Sims approach romantic relationships in terms of physical, emotional, and romantic exclusivity, which allows for them to date multiple Sims without impacting other relationships.
Do I get to also select their love language?
Okay, so
I mean, I get it's kind of nice to have to be able to set people up so that you can have the poly style thing of going and not, because if that was the thing you were trying to attempt to do, then you're just constantly going to have people getting angry at you for cheating because that's how the game is set up, right? And that's not what's happening.
So one of the things that's being added in the DLC, another thing that's being added is more complex romance dynamics.
Oh,
Which the term romance dynamics is capitalized in this blog post. So what it means is, rather than like they're in a relationship, they're not in a relationship. There's now 4 types of romance dynamics.
Oh,
You can have a wholesome relationship, 2 Sims who genuinely love each other and show it through their actions, both friendly and romantic.
I'm just going to turn that on for everything.
You can have a steamy dynamic, which refers to Sims' relationship being focused on physical intimacy, i.e. the woohoos, I believe they call it.
They call them woohoos, yeah.
You can have a strained dynamic, which
Have
is
you ever
2
seen-
Sims that are romantically entwined but generally unhappy with each other and treat each other unkindly.
Why would anyone turn that on?
Which is like you can
I mean, I know
simulate
why,
like
but
a bad
I don't.
And you can also have a unpredictable dynamic,
Okay, that could be
which
fun.
Sims that would go back and forth between lovers and fighters. They may fight one second but kiss and make up the next.
It could be fun in the soap opera sense.
Uh,
Have you ever seen? Have you
yeah,
played Sims? Have you seen what they do when they have a woohoo?
Not recently.
They like both get under the covers and then like the covers rumble around and stuff like they're fighting under there. It's really funny. At least that's how it was when I last saw it. It's been a while. I honestly try to stay away from The Sims because it's one of those games that sucks out all my time in the universe, and then I never do anything again.
But yeah, I don't know. Just the idea that you can like lock your sim into a just extremely messed up, romantically entwined but unhappy relationship.
I mean,
I
I
don't know.
assume most Sim DLCs these days are they look at what the popular mods are, and they're like, oh hey, that's a thing that's really in there. Can we?
I mean, I guess that's the like the relationship equivalent of the like put him in the pool and take away.
Which is
take
fine.
away
You
the
don't
ladder.
even have to do stuff like that. Sims just do stuff badly on their own. I've seen them just walk into fires
That's true.
and
That's
then
true.
get very upset about it.
Yeah, the like in this as previously mentioned, Cameron wrote this story, and when I was looking for an image for Sims like grilled cheese accident,
Yeah,
because
it was an excellent picture.
but like apparently that is a known thing. But also, the other thing that came up when I was looking at this, and I don't know enough about Sims to know what the meaning of this is,
Okay.
but people, there's numerous guides, videos, and explanations about how to get the grilled cheese aspiration for your sim in Sims 4.
Okay, I don't know what that is. That's
How
yeah.
to achieve the grilled cheese aspiration.
I know several times.
So grilled cheese seems to have some significance
Yeah.
within the Sims world.
I mean, yeah, you can make the grilled cheese. That's one of the options. But I don't know what the aspiration thing means. I know several times I managed to get a sim to start cooking breakfast, and then I thought they'd taken the breakfast out of the oven, but they had to run to school. They didn't have time to eat, and then the house would light on fire, and no one was there to put it out.
Whoops.
So, stuff like that would happen a lot. Most of my stuff involved fire or ghosts when it was terrible stuff in my Sims games.
Do you think that's a Sims thing or like a you thing?
I think it's a little of both. The ghosts were more accidents. I thought it would be cool to have ghosts because I realized you could have them. I didn't realize they actually scared people. I don't know why that didn't occur to me, but it did, and you know.
And then the last story here was talking about this stupid Dr. Disrespect thing. Won't go into it too much more.
Well, I mean, Graham I think did a very comprehensive job of what went on. So I really just suggest watching the ChillPoint episode if you haven't already.
Watch the ChillPoint,
and I don't really have anything to add to it. I didn't pay attention to him before. I'm definitely not going to now.
The only thing that I wanted to mention, because I saw it show up in the comments a few times about like why didn't Twitch, if it was so bad or whatever, why didn't Twitch give it over to the authorities or the police or whatever. And so it
seems like a fair question.
When you're dealing with situations where in situations like this, there is that pretty wide gulf between things that are morally abhorrent, things that are just super really bad and that Twitch would not want to be associated with, and that no right-thinking person would want to be associated with, but not actually legally actionable. There is a rather wide gap about that. How wide that gap is varies in certain circumstances. Whether it should be narrower is a question.
Do we still have that issue too with it's like essentially crimes or things that happen online, people don't know where they go because it's online and like physical location.
That can be an issue. I
don't know if that's still like I know that was like a really heavy problem with trying to get stuff to happen like years and years ago, but I don't know if that's
think it would have been
a thing now or
I don't think it would have been a problem in this particular instance, but the jurisdiction stuff, I don't think that is a problem in this particular situation. I think it's more that we don't have the actual transcripts or whatever, but whatever happened was super shitty, but not technically illegal. And so the end result is kind of what you would want, which is that he has been kicked off various platforms and, nobody wants to associate with him anymore.
Including the company that is making an NFT game that my understanding was the whole selling point was that he was part of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not...
I mean, I have no...
That's kind of the weird thing, right? Like, part of me is like, I if it wasn't an NFT game, I might kind of be like, well, I hope you can still do whatever it is you're going to do. But at the same time, maybe I don't.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of.
Maybe I don't.
I don't have a lot of respect for Midnight Society in terms of the game that they're making. Seems like it'll be super bad.
Yeah, are you afraid of the Dark
But-
Knight Society? Is a different thing.
But I gotta say, unless they're gonna do some sort of real big pivot on this, it feels like they're not gonna get very far selling a game that was not very interesting at all to begin with. And the fact that he was involved with it was their only real marketing piece, and now he's gone. So, good luck to that, I guess.
Well, I mean, if they want to distance themselves from that, that's going to be hard too. Because if there is any marketing for it, people are going to write the headline that that this was the company that Disrespect was part of it and fired him.
It's all part of
like
the history.
It'll all be part
yeah.
of that kind of headline, whether they want it to be or not.
Yeah.
So that's
anyway.
cheery. Do we have something more fun?
Yeah.
There was a outro.
Yeah.
Coming up thing that was kind of more fun.
This Kickstarter that's Oscar Bone has compiled a book with every single reward that you could have gotten from Club Nintendo.
Now, they mean every Club Nintendo?
Well, the original 2022 to 2015.
Because there were different rewards depending on what region you were in.
I think.
Sometimes, I think. Nintendo Life is based in Europe or the UK or something, so they typically have a UK spin on their stories, or they'll talk about products in that way. But I couldn't tell from because the Kickstarter page is just saying this is a thing that's happening. There's nothing I can read.
It's not launched yet.
That says, but some of those things look very Japanese, so I'm assuming it's kind of like maybe everything.
Looking at the promotional video for it,
mm-hmm.
I was a little disappointed that it appears to be, I mean, literally what it says on the tin, a book of photos of all the things that were available through Club Nintendo. But I would have hoped that there would have been like some sort of textual context and like explanations for like what things are or why this was an interesting piece or anything like that. But at least from the pictures and from the video, it appears to be literally a book with pictures of each thing, and like that's it.
Not even like I guess
there's a little caption.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just here's the thing, here's another thing. Here's the picture of the tote with the
Super
label
Mario
of what it is.
25th anniversary tote, 2010.
So it's like
this would be kind of what you refer to as kind of like a coffee table book. It's meant to be something people can flip through or do whatever. But yeah, I think I agree. I would prefer something with more description.
Yeah.
Or context would be nice, or anything like that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Maybe just because I don't really want a photo book full of photos of things that I could never have.
And despite what it says in the story, I don't think Beach has the entire collection of Club Nintendo's. I don't know if. I would imagine Beach has a couple of select pieces.
He's
from
got
Club
a couple
Nintendo.
things, but I think I have most of them. Like if we want to, we're married, so he can have some of the ownership, sure. But
between the two of you, do you actually have more Club Nintendo stuff than he has?
He never cared about doing that stuff.
Okay.
I have so many different styluses from prior to it being like proper Club Nintendo. Because they had, for a little while they had the DS games would sometimes come with stuff where you could input the code and you get like a free copy of Nintendo Power, and then Brain Age had like 7 styluses in different colors for Rainbow. The I think it was the Phantom Hourglass game, had a stylus that was clear that had like a feather thing in it. That was kind of neat. Proper Club Nintendo stuff, we've got like a bunch of the totes that came out later when it turned into like My Nintendo, I think, or was that still Club Nintendo? So like we have like a Pikmin tote. I could never get my hands on like the Majora's Mask stuff, but most of it looks like it's pretty shoddily made, so it's not like a huge loss to me.
So now this, I have no idea whether this is correct or not, but somebody, I think in the comments for this, or maybe on the Discord discussion or something, was talking about how that the story is that part of the reason why Club Nintendo was sort of discontinued and then they had to replace it was that the entirety of the like list for Club Nintendo was like a spreadsheet that one person had access to, and that person left and nobody else knew how to do it.
Yeah, so yeah, I've never heard that. I don't know if that's true or not. I have no way of knowing if that's true or not. I would love to see.
It's hilarious if that's true.
I'd love to see the citation for that. The whatever. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if the was there an article written about that? Is there just like kind of a weird post where that person came out and mentioned that somewhere? I would love to see.
Yeah.
And find out what that's about. But it's one of those things where you're like, I don't want to discount it because it sounds plausible because I know how the heck tech works in places. Even some of our stuff is like, strung together with gum. But at the same time, it also sounds like false. So I'm like, I'm not saying it's not, but I would love to know the source of that.
Yeah. Citation needed.
Yeah. Club Nintendo eventually also was started to do this thing where if you bought enough games, because that's how you got points. You bought a game, you inputted a code into your thing, and then you would essentially accumulate points from having purchased a game.
Right.
Which is very similar to what they do now with like the gold coins and whatever.
Right.
But you could like put in those points. If you made a certain amount, you could choose like a yearly special gift thing.
Oh, cool.
So
okay.
we've gotten a couple of those. I think there's some sort of like weird statue with Bowser or something that we have somewhere. I have a really cool like little tote with Yoshi on it that's like green and beige. I particularly liked to try to get the things that were more you can put your 3DS in this little satchel thing, or you can do whatever, because near the end and even now they still do a lot of stuff that's like, have these postcards, print out this calendar.
Yeah, it's like, it got
really
rather interesting. Yeah,
it got less interesting as time went on.
Hey, speaking of Bowser, Doug Bowser, the president of Nintendo America. There's this, just a kind of random silly post here, or situation that happened. So Walmart, like Amazon and various other places, their has like a marketplace, as well as like if you go to Walmart online and buy something from them, you're not necessarily buying it from Walmart itself. Like you can buy things from Walmart, but you can also, their third-party sellers can sell things.
Yeah, a lot of websites do this now. Best Buy does this. I can't think of any other websites I actually go to, but a lot of sites that you used to go onto that only sold stuff for the store now has like a third-party seller thing, and you have to double check that the thing you're buying is from the store or from some random.
And so,
what are they selling on the marketplace section of Walmart?
There's a brand new Mario game that has apparently come out.
Oh yeah.
Called Shotgun Mario 64.
I'm not familiar with that one. I'm not a huge Mario fan, so maybe I'm just missing timeline of this one.
I'm sure it's just like an import or something.
It's probably. Well, I mean, it's definitely not Japanese, so maybe this is one of those weird UK games that only they get there.
So anyway, somebody found this, and then they posted like, hey, I wonder if Nintendo is aware of this. Hey, Doug Bowser could do real damage to our beloved Mario. Blah blah blah. And then I think this is like Facebook. Doug Bowser himself went, appreciate the visibility, thumbs up, which, I mean, is kind of an understatement for like, we're going to sue these guys into the...
Well, I mean, I guess. I don't think Doug Bowser's going to go out on his own and do it. Chances are that got thrown over to somebody else. They probably got told to pull it down. I don't know. I would kind of be curious to see what's actually on it. Because is it actually a card with something on it, or is it just...
Apparently it's a known Mario 64 ROM hack.
Oh, okay.
That has been loaded onto a cart, I guess, unless it is just an empty, unless it's just a scam.
That's the kind of thing I would expect to find on eBay or weirdly Etsy. Sometimes people do that stuff now.
Really?
Yeah, Etsy's gotten weird. It's been weird for ages. I don't know. But also, yeah, I agree with chat. Narc.
Narking to Bowser. It's got to be bad, right?
Look, Nintendo doesn't need the help. They know, pretty sure. Like the sentiment's always like, oh, hey, when somebody does a cool thing, I'm not saying the shotgun thing is cool, but when somebody does a cool thing and then press like goes, hey, did you see this person doing this cool thing? And then immediately, like a couple days later, they get shut down. It's kind of like,
why did
hey, everybody, remember how we talked about not just telling everybody really loud on the speakerphone?
Yeah. Speaking of things that are a little weird, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. There's a new Microsoft Flight Simulator coming out.
But didn't they perfect it last time?
Apparently not.
Oh, no.
They have...
Oh, are they going to add an update for the Boeing planes?
Probably not. Considering they can't, like...
they break apart.
They're already not allowed to show, like, damage on the planes.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
That's one of those weird, like, one of those weird licensing things that, like, even if planes crash into something in it, they just kind of go, boink.
Maybe they could add in the WestJet strike.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not
Yeah,
damaging.
You have to deal with the actual managing of the personnel. Anyway, so Microsoft Flight Simulator been very successful. 15 million users, 1 billion flight sessions logged. The most played flight simulation ever published. But they're not done.
They're not done?
Nope, because they have recently acquired a company called Vexcel Imaging.
Okay.
And what Vexcel Imaging does is they have a line of special aerial survey cameras called UltraCam. They are multi-spectrum array cameras that shoot not only like RGB color, but also have infrared and LiDAR and all sorts of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Basically, the idea is that they, right now, all the stuff on the ground in Microsoft Flight Simulator is like taken from satellite data, and then they have sophisticated algorithms that are like, hey, that's probably a thing, like trying to figure out what the different things are.
Oh, okay,
and
sure.
We've done stories occasionally of like weird stuff. There's occasionally there'll be like a giant sinkhole.
Oh, right, yeah, because it can't quite tell from
stuff is weird. Um, but and they were working, and so they would just sort of use the data and then also just like add trees and stuff in a kind of procedural way. But now they're actually building like 3D because they have these imaging systems.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on building these like 3D reconstructions of all this image data that they're getting. We now have the ground, which is all 3D instead of just 2D with a texture. There are lots of different 3D materials, including the grass, the rocks, the trees. Everything is 3D and procedurally generated on top of real world data. Basically, it's like, I don't know. It's funny to like. It sounds like, you know, this like incredibly sophisticated like spy satellite tech that they're then using for like Microsoft Flight Simulator to make it so that I hope they'll have some, you know, presumably that the scans will be like quite old. It's not like it'll be like your house with you standing on the sidewalk.
No, we got Google for that.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. People in the chat says that apparently they've owned Vexel for a while, but I guess Vexel just started working or has pushed out new tech for this. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a simulation game.
Even more simulation.
Yeah, it's kind of the simulation games are kind of the ones that you want to try to hit the highest you can with, right? Like either in mechanics or visuals and such as well.
Yeah.
Unless you're like one of those war game things where they don't want to know all of the actual secrets of the tank. Stop posting the secrets about the tanks.
In fact, and they said one of the other features that they're going to be adding in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is you'll be able to like get out of your plane to do like the pre-flight checks of your plane and try to.
Oh, the role players are going to love that
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't seen them, some of them post videos where they have a person who calls for who can get off the airports and stuff, and they're kind of neat. It's not like a thing I'd want to do, but I think it's pretty cool it exists.
One of my favorite videos I saw, it was from a couple of years ago, but it was a guy who's like quite, a pretty, I guess, prominent YouTuber in that realm, in the doing the sort of role playing as real. So he, acting as a air traffic control tower and doing all this stuff, and then people will call in and doing all the things. And it was great, but this particular thing was like stuff was going wrong, and so they'll be like a plane coming and be like, be advised that we currently have a hot air balloon going Mach 5 across landing strip 3 and 4. So please do another pass and come in for. Because there's like people who want to play the game and people who want to do the role play thing and people who are just dicking around in the game. He just the plane just drove sideways through the main concourse. Anyway, and then I think the final bit of story I have here is about Dagrun Age, the Veilguard. Dragon Age. The new Dragon Age game that's they announced it at the Summer Games Fest.
Is it a this year thing or is it like a I'm never sure with games like these because it always feels like it could be the holiday game or it could be the game that comes out in 6 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure about
but I'm guessing if it has a subtitle it's like at least within the next year. September? October?
Yes, 2024 they've said it's coming out.
Okay, cool.
But this particular article is talking about the uh, customizable difficulty things that they're doing in the game.
Okay.
So, it's for it not only has apparent what this person from Game Informer says is like the most in-depth like character creator they've ever seen in terms of just like so many sliders.
Oh, so another one of those games where you spend the first 10 hours figuring your character out.
I remember on like 18 Games and Counting or something, James was gone and I ended up playing Black Desert Online. And like I barely got into the game. I just got like every facet of there was like 25 sliders for all the different like little bones of the face that you could adjust. I was just like, I am not like equipped to deal with this.
Yeah.
This is too much customization.
I mean, when I did Baldur's Gate 3, that first stream was mostly just there were like 3 different hair color sliders. And then so many other things to determine, because you got to like figure out even like your base of what kind of character you want to be first, right? And then you have to figure out the way they look and powers, and it's just like I don't know. Like part of me is like, I think it's really cool that character creators get really kind of overdone, maybe. Like that you have that much control, and then sometimes I'm also just like, should we?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get stuck there.
I don't know. I kind of like. I do. I usually have just maybe either no options or just like no options. Like you are. It's like this is the person that you are.
And
the story is written around
brings
that.
up a good point too. Like 2,000 hours with your face behind a closed-faced helm.
Right.
There's a couple of games that have you do a character design and then it's in first person.
Right. And you're like, well, that was pointless. Anyway, so this has got a big character creator, but this is talking about the difficulty thing. So it's got your standard, but they've got storyteller, which is like the emphasis on story, easier combat mode.
Yeah, you're here for the story of the game. So
adventurer, which is the balanced mode, nightmare, which is the super dangerous mode, and you can like switch between the different modes. But what's interesting is they have another difficulty option called unbound, and in unbound mode you basically can tweak all the different settings for like what makes
that sounds
a
good.
Difficulty system difficult. So
such as
I'm
assuming there's some examples.
Yeah, you can adjust how wayfinding helps you in the game. You can do aim assistance or auto aim. You can adjust the combat timing to make parrying easier or harder. You can change how much damage enemies do to you, how much you do to enemies. You can adjust enemy pressure, which I guess is like how aggressive they are. Yeah. If you're not if you're not interested in death related setbacks, you can have there's a no death option that you can turn on.
Okay.
Say none of these options are a cheat. That's what the developer is saying. It's just an option to make sure players of all abilities can show up. And they say you can look forward to similar accessibility and approachability options throughout the thing. So, this is one of those interesting things that I'm, as we talked about earlier, I'm all for accessibility options in games and stuff. And I like the way they're doing this, where it's like, here's the accessibility there's this unbound mode, and then there's sort of the standard.
Yeah,
modes.
you've got the basic layouts, but then also this one where it's like, do you want to do your own checkboxes?
Because sometimes I do have a problem with things with this, where it's like I want to play the game in the way that the developers thought would be a good experience.
Okay.
Right. And so it's like in what's that Chrono Trigger type JRPG that came out a couple years ago.
Chrono Trigger type JRPG.
With like the sun and moon people. Darn, I don't remember it. Anyway, Sea of Stars. That's it.
Okay.
Sea of Stars.
This is like,
Chrono
I
Trigger.
feel like there are clues here that I would understand if I had played the game.
Thank you. Sea of Stars. But there's Sea of Stars had a thing that I think was well intentioned, but I didn't really like it. Like it had have you played Sea of Stars?
No, I haven't. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's really good, but it's got this these like optional. It's got these sort of I think they call them like amulets or tokens or something. Like they sort of have this thing where there's a bunch of different things that you can turn on and off.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And one of them is like all damage is doubled, like you do double damage, or you like take half damage, right? And so it's like, and they're sort of weird in the sense that there are things that you actually pick up over the course of the game, and so it's like if you're playing whatever Hollow Knight, and you pick up a power up that is like you take half damage, you're like, boom, that's awesome. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, the badge system thing, yeah.
Yeah, but when it's sort of in this context where it's like, wait, like is this like a thing that I should only turn on if I'm having trouble? Or is this something that like the game was balanced for me to have? And it got a little bit, because some of the other ones are like, you get more time to react to QuickTime events.
Yeah, I feel like if your system is based on the idea of you have to find the item somewhere throughout the game, and you have a limited slot, like you can't just choose to turn on all the things or not. To me, those are not what I would call accessibility options.
Right.
They change the difficulty of the game and maybe some stuff you're going through, yes, but they're not. An accessibility option to me is something that is easy to access.
Right.
I think it was Pokemon Shield and Sword didn't give you the option to change the volume settings until you made it to like a town and talk to a specific NPC who gave you your earbuds. And
that's weird.
That's not even a gameplay thing, right? That's just like, why would you do that there? Like it's cute and clever, I'm sure in a sense, but it should be one of those things where at the start of the game, maybe your mom reminds you to grab your earbuds or something if you want to be cutesy about it. But that's weird, right? And so if you think of it that way, of like, oh, if I want to be able to play this game and it's too difficult, so it would really help me if I don't have to work on the reaction time of a QTE. Having that hidden into the game later is, to me, not an accessibility option. That's a reward for having put yourself through shit.
Yeah, it's a weird line, right? And it's like this idea of like what is the sort of intended path of the game, and what is the what is something that they have in order to the easy mode or whatever.
Yeah, like Hades, as you play through it, you unlock certain things on the mirror, you unlock currency, and by implementing those things, you can make the game actually easier for you.
Right.
Or you can turn them all off and make it harder, and then at the same time, you will unlock eventually kind of a trials thing where you can make the game harder as well. In a weird way, you are balancing the game to where you want to be challenged or where you don't want to be challenged.
Right. But then Hades also has the like God mode whatever thing.
Yes.
Where you just slowly build up in power.
Yeah. But it's not like you would look at Hades and be like, oh, that's an accessibility option, right?
Yeah. Those, and that's the thing, right? It's like there's a weird line there. Anyway, I just find that interesting. But the idea that you can go like, yeah, you can go down the granularity of like, adjusting the combat timing windows and all this kind of stuff, I think is a very interesting idea. And it'll be what I'd be very curious to see. And I don't know if they collect these kind of stats, but like once the game comes out and is around for a while, like how many people actually use those options, like whether the majority of people just play on one of the preset modes, how many people actually go in and really tweak stuff.
That'd be neat to see statistically.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like when I played Spider-Man, I played it through twice because I played it on kind of just normal difficulty and did whatever, and then I was like, I'm gonna play it on the hard mode to get that last trophy or whatever. And when I played it on that, I turned off the need to redo all of the puzzle sections, and I turned off the need to do the QTEs because I had already done them once and I didn't want to do them again.
Oh, that's cool. So they had that as an ability, and it's still like hard mode, but no.
Yeah, because you're still fighting a bunch of stuff, and mostly I found the QTE section stressful, and I didn't want to do it again.
I mean, things popping up on the screen and then you have to push buttons that line up with it. That's something that you have no experience with. So
it's a bit different when you're expecting them and then when you don't know. And also if you're just like, oh shit, what button is that again?
I mean, the worst part is like the QTE, like the like cutscene that transitions into a QuickTime event without telling you. You're like, doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Wait, I was supposed to push something there? Oh man.
This is why I think those horror games that they've played where everyone passes the controller, is essentially just QTEs all the way down.
Oh right, yeah.
Are really funny because I believe you can turn that stuff off and essentially watch a movie of the thing, which I think is a neat idea. But I'm pretty sure you can go through and give all of the characters stats to see how well they'll like.
Because depending on how you do in the QuickTime events, different people like die and different stuff happens.
Yeah.
So like you give them stats, then it auto chooses how they would succeed.
Yeah. Like I swear I've heard someone saying that what they did was they went through and they rolled a d20 and gave everybody random stats and then just watched it to see what would happen.
Oh,
and I'm like, cool. I still think it's a really neat idea. Although it is probably kind of like, usually when you turn off a QuickTime event, all it does is it takes off the button prompt. So I'm sure there's something where it's like they're about to trip over something and there's probably a weird pause and then they either trip or they don't. And if they don't trip, it's probably even funnier because I'm sure the camera's just like,
oh, no. Yeah. Anyway, I personally have not really got into the Dragon Age series.
I've never played them. I think I've watched Corey play one once because I have a vague memory of a cutscene where someone in the background of a cutscene just slid in the background and out the other end. Nice. I think that was a Dragon Age game. They could have been anything.
I seem to recall it's one of those series where like a couple of them are very well regarded and then there's like one or two that are people like, no, that one doesn't count.
They're like on, what is this, Dragon Age?
That was made by
5 or something?
I don't know. That was made by a different developer.
Out, right? I don't really know. It's weird. Dragon Age to me almost is like hearing people say Skyrim because it's like it's Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, and there's more than one. I mean, but Velgard's number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's 1, 2, and then something. And then they started switching
1, 2, and then something. 4.
Yeah, 1, 2, something, and then
1, 2, something.
Oh yeah, Inquisition.
Oh right.
1, 2, Inquisition, Veilguard.
Yeah.
Just normal,
yeah, I've got nothing against these
accounting.
games. I've never played. I don't think they've generally been on systems I've had. It's probably the majority of how that has worked, and then I have so many other things to play. Mm-hmm. I really need another one. Someone else can tell me if this game is good or not. Maybe I'll watch one of my friends play it. I'm sure somebody I know will end up streaming it. Probably like, I don't know, Wiggins. I could see Wiggins streaming it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is all the news that was interesting to talk about this week.
Step it up, video games. No, wait, don't. Wait, I just remember what kind of thing you were like when you do. Never mind.
No.
Ignore everything I've said.
No, it's okay. We don't need super exciting.
We're
video game
July
news.
now, right? There's nothing super interesting has to happen in video games over July.
I literally do.
Yeah, I
not know.
don't know.
Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. And if you haven't watched the episode of ChillPoint for this week, you should go do that. If you're watching this on YouTube, the episode of ChillPoint is probably somewhere near this video in the recommended section.
Mm-hmm. You could join other people in the checkpoint comments about the decks that they're playing for Marvel Snap. That's gotten a lot of traction. That's part of the after chat, but you know.
That one particular, I forget what even the name of the guy is now.
It started with an A. He was like, he's a colossal, an eternal.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that part of the Marvel. Ashram, thank you. Arishem.
Yeah.
Apparently, very powerful character in the
also kind of goofy.
I mean, I went and found a piece of artwork to put in that section of the show to overlay it because I was just like, we'll show what that looks like.
Nice.
And he looks like I don't know, a planet eater like Galactus or something. So
yeah, I don't know if they eat planets, but they do sort of
They do stuff with them.
Cosmic-y things. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we will talk to all y'all later. Bye.